Well, and welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. You ever just stop and just think to yourself, maybe even for a half a second, you ever just stop and think, how the heck did we get here? Man, life comes at you fast, huh? This hobby is, I feel like I went to bed 2 months ago. I woke up today, and the whole market is just completely different. Everything is just going crazy parabolic. It's harder for me to find cards that haven't performed well, or sets or products, sealed products, singles, you name it. It's harder to find the poor performers than it is to find the good performers. It just seems that everything is currently going up. We are living in an absolute whirlwind. We are living in the days where the Pikachu with a gray felt hat promo is creeping up to be over a $2,500 card. You have Burger Chews selling for, or Big Mac and Chew. What is everyone decide? Is it Burger Chews or Big Mac and Chew? It doesn't matter. We're first to market. Black Label sell for greater than $20,000 every single day. I gotta see old Jim. Shout out to Jim from ZNG Emporium. Every single day I have to sit there and watch as Jim posts a new all-time high sale. It's just absolutely crazy. Let me look. What is James? Let's just go. We'll steal, as is tradition on this channel, we're just going to steal Jim's content right now. Pikachu with a gray felt hat. The $100 million Pikachu with a gray felt hat. And that was with $2,000, $100,000 total market cap. And we are actually above that. Chat. The title of this video is a clickbait. Yeah, it's kind of clickbait, but is it kind of not clickbait? It's kind of not clickbait. It's like both. Did I have to make it real dramatic? How Pokemon card investing evaporated my life savings? Yeah, sure. It's clickbaity. I want people to click on the video. But let's talk about the honest reality. Going into this boom, I was very, very cash heavy. I am not cash heavy right now. You know why? Because we are living in the moment where every single thing is a buying opportunity. You guys want a top signal? One of the big arguments you're going to hear from people is when prices go down, everybody is going to now be really, really well positioned to take care of them, or to take advantage of the market, take advantage of the crash, because everybody is cash heavy right now. I'm going to let you in on a little secret that isn't a secret. Nobody's really cash heavy right now. You know why? Because everybody is just buying in. And do you want to know what I'm buying in at right now? Yeah, I'm buying in with the deals when I could get them. But a lot of the deals, I say this with a big quotation mark, a lot of the deals I've been buying at have been pretty close to 100% market. Now, listen, when you're in this hobby and given enough time, you're going to find like the right seller to buy promos from, the right seller to buy Chinese product from, Japanese product from, the right person to buy gradable singles, the right person to buy modern booster boxes, the right person to buy vintage booster boxes, the right person to buy unweighed packs, and blah blah blah. And you're going to find all those people, and that's just going to come with time, and you're going to be able to optimize every single aspect of buying and selling by optimizing, being like, I know that this guy is going to be the cheapest, or not. It doesn't even always come down to the cheapest. It's going to come down to this guy's going to be the most trustworthy. I've bought from this person before. I know I could trust this guy, especially in this market, especially when you're talking about graded singles and raw cards. Like, I will pay a premium, and I have been paying a premium for certain cards raw that I know that person just doesn't grade cards, and I've very, very more often than not been able to get a ton of good, PSA 10, Gem 10 contenders just from a person. I'll pay a little bit of premium to that. But all that comes after a long period of time. Or like I said, that Japanese or Chinese play or sealed modern. The unfortunate reality is even though you might have built that entire, call it infrastructure or support system or whatever little bow you want to wrap on that, at the end of the day, all those people are now more expensive. And to buy from a lot of those people, I'm not getting the deals I used to get in the past. And a lot of the goes back to that quote. The deals I'm getting now is just me buying close to full market price on a lot of stuff and just expecting stuff to go up. That is dangerous. Do you guys understand how dangerous? We are living in dangerous territory where we are now going into stuff, buying at 100% because we just expect that we're going to be okay. How crazy is that? It's like if somebody were to come up to me right now and say, hey, PK, I got a bunch of near mint condition cards of this promo. And as long as it's a fan favorite Pokemon or exclusive promo, or at least that little teeny little incy, you know, bit of barrier of entry to it. If somebody comes up to me and they're like, PK, I got a lot of Petrant promos from the Shrouded Fable 3-pack blister, I'm probably going to pass. But assuming they just say, hey, I have this promo and it's a Pikachu and then doesn't matter the set, or it's an evolution, doesn't matter the set, it's a sealed ETB promo, doesn't really matter the set, maybe not Twilight Masquerade, I probably wouldn't want to get a big position in that, or hey, I got a bunch of these Pokemon Center, stamp promos that I haven't been searched, I just broke down a lot of product, I'm doing these, anything like that, I'm just going to be like, yeah, I'll just take them all. How many you got? Oh, you got 50, you got 100, you got 200, I'll take them. Sure, it gets hard to do that for certain promos when the promos get way too expensive, but it's just right now, it's just like I feel comfortable buying at 100% of market because there's the scary thing about this hobby is there's so much margin to be made, which this sentence will not make sense. There is margin to be made at buying at 100%. I haven't done this in a long time. Shout out to Mr. Dan, Catch 'em All Collectibles. I had a quick call with Dan the other day, just talking about just work stuff. But I just randomly was like, hey, Dan, by the way, I never check my pizza tracker. If you guys don't know what the pizza tracker is, it's like the PSA. Every time you're looking at it, it's like, okay, my order's been received. It's in grade and it's in assembly. We call it the pizza tracker, like Domino's. I never check the pizza tracker. Never really needed to check the pizza tracker. I check my pizza tracker all the time now. Why do I check it? Because the cards that I sent 2 months ago that I spent 100% market on, some of these cards have 2x'd. I have a huge submission coming to me. It's 74 cards. There are so many big bangers in there. I counted it before. Like, I'll tell you guys what the submission looks like. I won't say it might not be the languages you guys are expecting, but just in Garantina V full arts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, just 8 Garantina V arts, like the Garantina V alt arts. Everyone knows what it looks like from like the English Lost Origin set. 7 of those. That's just part of that 74 card submission, and every day I'm watching as prices are going up for all these cards, and I'm just like, it's crazy. And it's like, what did I do in the meantime? Like, yeah, you bought the cards, you pre-graded the cards, you sent the graded contenders, you took time to buy these, and you did this, but what have I done in the last couple months? It's like, I didn't do anything. I just sent the cards away. And then it's the same thing with like, just so much stuff going on in the hobby. And like that's people want to say like, give me a top signal PK, like let me know, we're in for it. And it's like, this could be it, where everyone now becomes over leveraged. And the crazy thing is I don't want to be sitting on cash right now. There was a period of time in this hobby, you guys go back, watch my older videos, where I was telling you guys, now is the time to, there was times where I was like, now is the time to sell and build up your cash reserves, because I thought the market was going to crash, and then sure as shit, the market crashed. And then I made a video that was said, now is the acquisition phase. And in the acquisition phase, it was buy, 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 because hopefully everybody became liquid at that point. And right now, today, it's just, we are in the moment of the turn and burn phase. You remember how I always say a saying on this channel, which is a dangerous saying, dangerous sentence? Nobody has ever gone broke taking profits. And what this hobby has allowed is this hobby has allowed for everybody to right now just take profits. And I'm not taking any of the money out of the hobby right now. I'm just recycling it. And there are so many, there have definitely been periods of time in the hobby where I look around and I say, I don't know what to buy right now because I don't know what's going to go up. And right now, everything, what could be a bad buy? Like recently. In the last 2 months, it's like across the board. I just told you it's harder to find things that were bad plays versus good plays. Even like all the alt arts are starting to tick back up. And listen, it's this hobby, everybody wants a big brain. And yeah, if you get down into the real deep rabbit holes and you want to start doing low pop cards and super hard to grade and sets that nobody talks about, you know, your Nintendo sets or your Diamond and Pearls or any of the Platinums, and you start getting deep, like the sets that people never mention. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about sticking with the bread and butter of this hobby. And what is the bread and butter? The moderner, the better. The more mass produced, the better. Both those sentences should not be truthful statements. The moderner, the better for this hobby, and the more mass produced, the better. That's a complete opposite of like the large majority of this hobby, where that's probably not where you want to park your money. Today, it is. Like when you could have all these promos go up. When you look at a Bubble Mew, and a Bubble Mew, you got to remember you remember when the boom started. There's a lot of booms. But when the boom kind of started, was you remember those real early videos where people were going into Costco and they had the big pallets, and the pallets had the 151 tins on it, you know, the 151 mini tins, and then on the same pallet it had Paldean Fates mini tins on it. And then in those videos, you would see everybody were racing and they were ripping apart this pallet, and they were taking all the 151 mini tins, because the 151 mini tins started to go up a little bit, and they were just leaving the Paldean Fates. Like it would look like a war zone happen, and then there would just be a couple Paldean Fates boxes full of mini tins scattered along on the floor because nobody wanted Paldean Fates. And then what happened? A set that nobody wanted. The hobby does what the hobby does best and just keeps growing, keeps going crazier. And now, forget about it. If you had that same scenario, but now remove 151 out of the equation, and it was just Paldean, you know, Fates mini tins, everybody would grab those, and they would be racing to Paldean Fates, where that used to be the shit they used to leave on the ground. Does that make sense? Because that is just where we are. And why? Well, because now you have a Bubble Mew, which is probably going to creep towards, maybe, I can't even keep track of this hobby. Day to day, my numbers are stupid. I didn't even want to say, if you guys have noticed, I try not to say too many numbers. Sure, I talk about the gray felt hat, talk about the dollar. I don't want to say numbers because they become antiquated in like 24-hour period. When James did this post talking about a $2,000 market cap, let's go back to it. I just want you guys to look at the timestamp of this. Old Jim from ZNG, this is a $2,000 card. That was 3 days ago. $2,000 card. This is like a $2,500 card now. Like, what? What is going on? This is the most graded card in the history of this hobby. Hold my beer, Charizard V from Champion's Path. Like, this is it. And it should went up $500. Why? Why? Because shit's just moving. I mean, listen, we could all sit here, we could all pretend like we know the hobby. I can't. This is crazy. This is crazy. Every single modern booster box. Let's look at this. Let's look at this. Justin. Rivals. booster box. You want to know what is the most current main expansion booster box in this hobby? Yes, there's Black Bolt, White Flare. Those are both specialty ETBs. The most, and we haven't made it to Mega Evolutions. At the time of recording this video, Mega Evolutions doesn't come out till next week, so it hasn't officially been released. There's been pre-releases and stuff. This is the most modern, most current main release set. There is literally no main release sets that are newer than this. Once again, Black Bolt, White Flare, those are specialty sets. This is a main expansion. Unopened booster boxes, $380. Go look at the sealed case premium. You might puke in your mouth a little bit. Destin Rivals, the most modern booster box. Do you know what's supposed to happen after release? You're supposed to see this, right? And then you're always going to see that downturn, and then you're going to usually see it stay stagnant. This is not this hobby. You got a little bit of a drop at release. Again, we look at it, and some people might have called this a crash, which who knows. Crash, $100 over MSRP. MSRP for this is what, $164. The bottom was $244, which at $244 makes this the most successful, one of the most successful booster boxes in history at $244, and that is the lowest point of the graph. The lowest point in this graph makes this one of the most successful boxes in history, and that's the low point. And then what happened? Psh, look at this. And it's not even like we're talking 107 items sold, 120, 107, 115, 115 until what? We retrace a little bit to 370. Now it's sitting at that 380. This is the most modern booster box. Have you seen the chases from Destin Rivals? Have you seen that Mewtwo SIR? Usually, historically, what happens in this hobby is at release, you have the most cards being opened. Why? Because that is the most modern set. That is the set that most people are opening. As more people open packs, more hits are pulled. So what happens is you'll see the price for the hits, they'll start crashing because more and more cards keep hitting the market because the supply just gets increased by all the packs that people are opening until eventually a hit like an SIR, like a Mewtwo SIR, eventually it keeps creeping down as more and more supplies hit in the market until eventually it hits its low point, and then it usually stays stagnant until eventually no more of this Destin Rivals or modern set is being open, and the supply and the pop report stops growing, and then it starts to stay a little stagnant, and then eventually, because no more supply is being introduced to the market, all the collectors now could buy up these cards, put them into their personal collection, because you can't have cards on the market. If you always have cards constantly on the market, there's just going to be too much demand. It's always going to be that race to the bottom till eventually the collectors eat it all up and then prices start to increase. That is not what happened with Destin Rivals. What happened with Destin Rivals is there was supply and you had a little drop, but that now as supply is continuing to hit the market and more cards are continuously being graded, prices are continuing to go up. That is what's happening in this hobby. It is defying. But this is not the crazy thing. It's not really defying my expectations because it goes to the title of this video, which I said it's a little clickbaity. Okay, maybe it's not my life savings, but it's all my available capital. Where's all my available capital going right now? It's just been jumping into this hobby. Everything has just been a good buy. Holy shit, have I been rewarded. Holy shit, has it... My friends in this hobby, they're doing so well right now. I can't find some. How can I not find a friend in this hobby who's like, PK, I've lost it all. The market crash, it got me. Like, but this is the thing. It goes back to when prices were going to crash, everybody was just going to be well positioned to just buy a bunch of this. This could be a top signal where everyone is just over leveraged. Why? And it's like, because do you remember when I quit my job? I quit my job this year, February 1st. 2025, I officially went full time. Officially meaning I quit my old job. I went full time. I no longer went into the office anymore. And the reason why I quit my job was because every single day that I was going into my old job, it was costing me money. And I had a good job, but it was costing me too much money to go to work, meaning every day that I went to my office and was making my six-figure job, I was losing money because I could have been home selling Pokemon cards and I could have been making more money until eventually I had to make that decision for myself and for my family and to do what was best. And that was to quit my job, the job that I had gone to college for, worked my whole life for, worked my way up the corporate ladder, busted my ass, put 70-hour, 80-hour work weeks in at certain points, worked really, really hard to get to that point. It was detrimental to my finances to go to that job every single day. And that was it. That was the decision to go full time. Now, I'm in the moment right now where I am constantly shelling out money and constantly doing the turn and burn and constantly doing the flip because it is detrimental for me to hold cash. It is actually detrimental to me right now because in the last couple months, if I haven't just been spending money like I have been doing, if that money was just sitting in a money market doing whatever, 5% or something, that would have been so detrimental for me. In fact, to just like make up for the gains, maybe that money would have to sit in a money market at 5% for the next 20 years to justify what the gains have been in the last 3 months. Like, we are so far removed from any sense of norm, for any sense of rational reality, rational speak. But like, this is it. You guys want top, give me top signal, PK, like show it. It's like a rational exuberance, just a give zero fucks. But like, this is the thing. What needs to happen? It's like this pullback. And then you ask you a question. It's like, are you deep enough in it? Are you deep enough in it that you can see the pullback happen? Will you have enough time to react? I say yes. I do think that I have enough time to react. But then I also look at this and I say, this was a $2,000 card 3 days ago. How quickly this card could go up? Could I react a whole position of stuff in 3 days? And my answer is probably, no, it's not probably. It's going to be honestly. It's a no. And as I look around in the grandma's basement, I'm already well aware of the fact that a lot of the stuff that is in here, I will unfortunately die with. And it's not a question of, even if I want to die with it, it's just that I've just somehow, in such a amount of time, accumulated so much stuff that I couldn't sell if I wanted to. Or I couldn't. I just don't think it's possible at this point. So I've already made the conscious decision that I'm probably going to die with a lot of this stuff. But the stuff that is super liquid and I can move quickly, I don't have any abilities to move stuff in 3 days. Like, if I were to go the route, whether it's through Dan's consignment or through ZNG, or go sell seal product through Probstein, or to call up my friends and get wire transfers and the ship product out, and even if unless I'm overnight delivering some of this stuff, if it takes me a couple days for USPS priority, if it's a small package for UPS, like 3 days I can't react with the amount of stuff I have, even if I wanted to. So like, then I look at this stuff. Shout out to Son of Mewtwo, being a member for 18 months. Gift him the 20 PK memberships. I appreciate Big Dog. Son of Mewtwo, definitely one of the real ones. Always super, super kind to everybody in the chat. But I think about it that way. I'm like, I couldn't even react. Like, this is how quickly this hobby could just turn. But that's the thing now. I just said this hobby could turn so quickly. But right now it's just turning up. Does it make sense to hold money right now? I'm sure a lot of you guys would say yes, it probably makes sense to hold money right now. But I just think right now, today, is the worst possible moment to be sitting on cash. And now, this could be where I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong, I guess I'll just have to be wrong. how many I mean, you know, one of the things like people say is every time PK just comes on the channel, he just talks about how good the market's doing and everything, and it's just like buy, 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 buy. And the question is, if you ask me, is there a percentage that I come on next week and I just my hands are in my head is in my hand and I got tears in my eyes and I'm shaking. I said no, 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 no. Why have I done this? Why have I been so heavy into this? I guess that's a possibility, but then it's like, what do I think is more likely? I think the more likely and the unfortunate reality for many people out there, maybe some people will be happy, but there'll always be the haters out there who will be upset. I think right now the unfortunate reality is I come on in a week from now and I go, oh my God. Whether it was the Burger Chew last week that I was saying, oh my God, I can't believe this. Or if it's the Pikachu with the gray felt hat this week where I'm saying, oh my God, I can't believe this. Or whatever the next variable is going to be. You know, I'm already looked at, you know, like, look at all the sets, look at all the hits, you know, like SV base, or am I going to go, oh my God, look at that Gardevoir. Look at that Gardevoir SIR. We all knew it. That Ralts line, Ralts, Curlia, Gardevoir. Can't believe it. Nobody saw it coming. Or Paldean Evolved, and we've already seen the Magikarp run back up. The Magikarp's already hitting its all-time highs again. It's like, oh my God. Or the Obsidian Flames Charizard, like, we've already known the Obsidian Flames Charizard forever. Historically undervalued card. And that's the thing. When you break down Obsidian Flames and you look at the Zard and you say, this is the best hit in the set, people are going to go, yeah, it's the best hit in the set because it's a small set. PK, just like Journey Together is a small set. Obsidian Flames is a small set, only comprised of one Japanese set. And then I'm like, well, look at this Zard. It's like, yeah, that Zard's undervalued because it's easy to pull. And it's like, will it stay undervalued? And people go, yeah, probably not. You're probably right. That will probably be a good promo to pick up. And you know what people just didn't do and probably wouldn't have done? Is grow massive positions in the Charizard SIR from Obsidian Flames when it was a 40 to $60 card. We'll give it a $20 range. That's a big 50% price difference between 40 and 60, but it doesn't matter. Between that price range, even though people would have said that's the best card in the set, they weren't buying it. And they would probably, and I mean this, and I'm giving everybody credit, if I took 100 people or every single person watching this live real time and 3 months ago brought up that Charizard and individually was able to have each one of you guys in a room and you're standing in front of me and I was standing here and I said, do you think this Charizard from Obsidian Flames is undervalued? There's a part of me that would say 100% of you 3 months ago would have looked at that and said, yes, PK, of course that Charizard is undervalued. Like, that is agreed upon norm in the hobby. And nobody, and then like people wouldn't have went out and bought it out though. Like that's the thing. Like, even though I feel like it would have been 100% of people would agree, people still wouldn't have made the move. It's the same thing as I look at Darkness Ablaze 420. And it's like, well, what's going on with Darkness Ablaze? It's like, well, it's got a Charizard VMAX in it. How much does a PSA 10 cost? Cheaper than a booster box? Okay. So you're telling me the best hit in the set in a PSA 10 isn't as much as the box? No, it's not, PK. Do you think there's a chance that the Charizard VMAX from Darkness Ablaze, taken into consideration how much the booster box is, do you think there's a chance that this thing is undervalued? And I bet you everybody's going to say, yes, PK. That card is, of course, undervalued. And I go, even though it's just a VMAX, it's not an all-time, it doesn't matter, PK. It's the best card in the set. Okay. And then watch. Give it 2 months from now. Everybody's going to look at that Charizard VMAX from Darkness Blaze, and then go, it makes so much, and everybody's going to look back and be like, doesn't that make sense? Be like, why does it make sense? Well, the booster box literally costs more than the PSA 10. Of course, there would be a market correction for that. Well, what? It just hasn't happened yet, or maybe it's on its way. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure. Listen, it's hard to talk like this because even that card has probably already gone crazy since then. But like that would be one of those cards that would just be so obvious to people. Be like, yeah, the best card from this set in a 10 should be worth more or equal to the booster box price. People would be like, yeah, you're probably right. You know? And it's the same thing with like the Moonbreon. Everybody's looking at the Moonbreon sales. Why does Moonbreon keep going up? It's like, well, because the booster box just keeps going up. But now this is the thing. When you look at the Umbreon, from Evolving Skies. It's hard sometimes, but you got to pull yourself back and say, well, why is Umbreon so expensive? Well, it's the best card from the best set. Okay. So we're agreeing on it's the best set. Well, what makes it the best set? Well, it's not just the Umbreon PK. You got all these other awesome VMAXs. You got the Sylveon VMAXs in there. You got the Leafeon VMAX. You got all these cards. You got an Umbreon in a V as an alt art. You got a Sylveon in the V, you got the Espeon in the V, you got, even if you don't hit Evolutions PK, you still got a top chase with the Rayquaza VMAX. There's a Rayquaza V, there's still the Dragonite V Altart, that is a super, super strong card. Even like the weakest of Altarts, you still got the Batman card, the Noivern V, obviously, PK, obviously. This is one of the greatest sets of all time. And then what's going to happen? The rest of those Altarts, which have been lagging, like the Leafeon VMAX, which has been $500 in a 10. Again, my numbers could already be old, but the Leafeon VMAX was $500 in a 10 forever, and then eventually that card's going to go up, and it's just going to do this. Shit in this hobby is just doing this. It's just as quickly as it can go. It's just boom, boom, boom. Things are just gapping up, gapping up, gapping up, gapping up, and that's it. And it goes to the title of this video. How, and it's not why, it's just how Pokemon card investing has evaporated my life savings, because everything is gapping up, so I'm just buying it all. But hey, listen, everybody's only, depending on your ability, everybody's only made of so many dollar bills, or $10 bills, or 50s, or hundreds, or thousands, or $10,000 bills, or $100,000 bills, or for some of you lucky few out there, people are only made of so many $1 million bills, until eventually you keep doing that. But like, that's the thing, it's just everything is just gapping so quickly, and it's just like every day you could just go and you just look, and it's like, give me a good trainer gallery, give me Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield, obviously. Let's just go. We'll do the history. We're just going to say, this is just coming to me. Trainer galleries, right? Trainer galleries. Just, this is how your brain's got to work. And it's like, all right, trainer galleries. First set ever, Cosmic Eclipse. Came out November 2019. What did Cosmic Eclipse have? Character rares. What did it have? My favorite character rare right there that I have signed by Hitoshi Ariga, the Reds Pikachu. What happened? It was an undervalued card. That was a $5 card. It gapped up. Why? Because it was a beautiful artwork. And then, you know, trainer galleries were something special. Character rares back then, until when? What, from Sword and Shield base all the way up, there was no trainer galleries until Brilliant Stars. What did Brilliant Stars do? Brilliant Stars brought trainer galleries. What trainer galleries are in Brilliant Stars? Well, it's an awesome one. You got all the evolutions, Flareon, Jolteon, Vaporeon, but you got the big ones. You got that Umbreon V, you got that Umbreon VMAX. Are any of those cards undervalued? Have people not made it there yet? What about Lost Origin? Lost Origin is also one of the best trainer gallery subset cards. Oh, well, what is there? There's a Sleepy Pika in there, there's a Snorlax, there's the Gengar, and it's like, oh shit, damn it, I didn't make this conversation, I didn't have this thought in my head fast enough, because that Sleepy Pika's already started to run, that Chunky Boy Snorlax has already ran, and sure as shit, that Gengar with the person at the bottom of the fire smoking some sort of pipe. Some people are going to say they're stoking the fire, but they're smoking something. Oh shit, PK, they've already ran up. Oh shit. Well, now what? Now it's like, whoa, and then people start to panic. They start to panic and they go, oh shit, Brilliant Stars is already fucked. Lost Origin is fucked. Crown Zenith, PK, thank God, Crown Zenith. There's so many beautiful trainer galleries. There's actually a 70 card trainer gallery subset in Cosmic Eclipse. The Pikachu, that's a secret rare. That is number 160 out of 159. There's only 159 cards in the set, but there's 70 trainer gallery cards, and guess what? There's a gold cards, and everyone thinks of the gold cards, that Arceus, Dialga, Palkia, Garantina, they think of them as secret rares, but they're not. They're just part of that 70 card subset. And then what else is there? There's a Leafeon and there's a Glaceon, PK, but what else is there? There's a yellow borders. We got to stop going to the shiny stuff. The golds have already been capitalized. The silver borders have already been capitalized, PK. Let's look, let's think. Yellow borders, trainer galleries. What is left? The Sleepy Mew, and then they go, son of a bitch, I'm already too late to the Sleepy Mew too, because everything is just being capitalized, and that's it. It's just sitting there, and it's just, your brain is just constantly racking through, and you just go set by set and card by card, and you know what? You get Every single time you get to one of these cards, you get to a little teeny sign that somebody hammered into the ground, and you know what it says? It says PK was already here. That's what that little sign is written in little. I just take my little black Sharpie and I just write PK was already here, and you guys just keep running to all these spots. Do you guys remember once upon a time when I used to come, I'm not good at finding old videos. Remember all the times I used to take all those sleepy Pikas? Do you remember this? And I used to just fan them out, and I would just like do this. Do you remember that? How many OGs are in here? Just remember me making it rain piles and piles of sleepy Pikas from Lost Origin that I was just buying at $5. Who remember that? Who remembers me taking out the giant stacks where I had like a whole box and it was just stacks of sleepy Pikas? Who remembers those? You know what? Maybe chat doesn't remember them. Maybe you don't. Maybe it's all make-believe. Maybe this is just one big fever dream. Maybe we're just living in the simulation. None of this is real. That's it. Maybe that's just where we are. Maybe that's where we are. It goes to the title of this video. How Pokemon card has evaporated my life savings. Do we deserve to be rewarded? I ask myself this question every day as I stare into that mirror, and I ask myself, I always say there's one person in the history of this hobby who's undefeated, and that one person who's undefeated in the history of this hobby, that is Father Time. Unfortunately, I'm really coming to believe that I might have been saying that sentence wrong all this time for all this time I've been saying that sentence wrong. I think there might be two people in this hobby that are undefeated. I think the first one is Father Time, but you know who I'm starting to think is the second undefeated person in this hobby? Is Old Lady Luck, because she's a mean bitch, but my God, she always seems to be right too. Old Lady Luck just keeps coming out here. Here we are. This is 2025. Does it come crashing, burning? And I ask you guys this every time, and it's kind of getting old, right? It does get old as you come on the channel every single day, week after week, and you say, do I think that this is the high for all this? And the answer is no, of course not. Of course it's not. We are just living it. We are living in the moment, and that's it. Now is the time. I think anybody keeping cash, I think that is the worst thing you could be doing. I think if you have cash, you should be deploying it right now. And maybe that's it. Maybe that's your top signal. Now is the time to deploy cash. And you want to know what the best time to deploy cash was? Yesterday. And I think tomorrow, when people say when's the best time to deploy cash, I'm going to say yesterday. And a week from now, it's going to be yesterday. And yesterday. Everybody, this is going to be the answer from now on. When was the best time? Yesterday. Yesterday. We're just in the time of deploying. And now, if you have unlimited capability and you have the ability to just sit on everything, I don't have that ability. I've never had that luxury. And it just keeps turning and burning. And listen, has everybody been rewarded? Man, have everybody been rewarded? Beyond our wildest dreams right now. That's it. If you guys just tuned in right now, I recommend you guys scrolling back to the beginning of this chat, because you missed an epic PK rant, as is tradition. You'll learn about how Pokemon investing has totally evaporated my life savings. I'm just a shell of the man I once was. I used to be this young, charming, handsome person. I'm this just old man yelling at clouds every single day. We got Jonathan Flint, says PK, good to see you. Pokey Bondo says, how the heck did we get here? I have no clue. How did we get here? How did we get to the point where this $100 million market cap Pikachu with a gray felt hat, where James's statement, let's go back up and read it. After the recent huge surge to $2,000, that was 3 days ago, that sentence is already antiquated. It is a far more than a $2,000 card. James is living in the past. See, he made the mistake. He put dollar amounts in a comment. You can't put dollar amounts in comments anymore, because everything just keeps moving. It just keeps moving. Timmy, It says, what life advice would you have for young Timmies out there? Well, if you're young Timmies, I guess it's, what are you doing? If you're, I guess this is the one advice I give everyone. If you are not making money in this hobby right now, today, take a second and go walk into your bathroom, into that mirror, look deep into the reflection looking back at you, and just ask yourself, what am I doing wrong? If you cannot make money in this hobby, you may never make money in this hobby, but you know what? I've been saying that sentence for a long time. I've found that I've repeated myself many a times over the years. I thought a year ago, if you're not making money in this hobby, you'll never make money in this hobby. I thought 2 years ago, you know what? And this hobby just keeps proving me wrong. And man, thank God it's proving me wrong. Listen, the amount of people that have gone full time recently, the amount of people that have started businesses, is all this sustainable? I'd say the simple answer is no, it's not. But then again, I ask the question all the time. And I asked the question in 2020, and everyone hated the question. In 2020, I asked the question, and this was in the booms of booms. I said, what if we're early? Everyone laughed me out of the room. PK, it is 2020. 2021. We just came off of the Logan Paul boom, the pandemic. Everyone's got stimulus checks. PK, this is not the beginning. PK, this is the end. This is it. This is the bubble popping. And I said, what if this is still the beginning? People laughed me out of the room. I ask you that same freaking question today. What if today is still the beginning? And why? Because my best friends in the world know I do Pokemon full time. And none of them get it. The amount of people the relatives and stuff that find out I do Pokemon full time, and it's the amount of Pokemon is still a thing. Questions I get asked to me all the time. The amount of people that have no clue that this hobby is still a thing. That is it. We could be early. The fact, some people said when Dan started investing in pallets with his dad, that was a top signal. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not a top signal because we're going to need all our parents to start asking us, hey, should I be buying Pokemon cards right now? And I'd be like, I don't know, maybe. If my mom came up and was like, should I buy some Pokemon cards right now? I'd say maybe. Maybe that's the top signal I need. But yeah, every day in my life. I mean, yes, you in the chat, having conversations in you is so different. And the levels of education in this hobby are so drastic. To be able to talk with somebody in this hobby and just ask them about the hobby is just, it feels impossible. Listen, every chance I get, I like to go into my local card stores or local LGSs, and there was a period of time where I was just like a stupid, jaded human being where I would get upset over, them charging more for market prices, and I've grown at least as a human being there, and I've realized like the errors of my ways and the follies of my ways, and I realized how stupid I was to, have that thought. But now every time I go in, when I was in Oregon, I went into a bunch of card stops and I bought a bunch of singles. Nobody recognized me. Nobody there sitting at the tables recognized me. I'm not a nobody. I'm a nobody. But like, that's the thing too. It's like, I'm one person. When I walk into that card store, I could have been standing next to Rusty, TCA Gaming, one of the most impressive collections in the world, especially when it comes to uncut sheets and stuff. And nobody would recognize him. I probably could have been there with Rattle. Rattle's one of the most well-known people in the hobby, and probably a lot of people wouldn't even recognize Rattle. And it's like, and they own a card store, And it's like, these are people in the hobby who don't know me and don't know the biggest collectors and don't know, it's just like, we are not that big. But the hobby is massive. And the hobby is just going to keep growing and growing and growing and growing. And I don't see it slowing down. It's that whole Hail Hydra kind of thing. You cut off one head, two heads grow in its place. I feel like that's this hobby. And it goes back to what I said. One of the big pushbacks. I love Rudy from Alpha Investment. I would love to get Rudy on this channel one time. I would love to have a conversation with him. I disagree with Rudy on certain things. One of the big things I disagree with Rudy on is Rudy says that the average collector is in this hobby for 6 months and then he's gone. And I push really hard back on that. And I do not believe in that number. I believe that that is a facade, that is a false, because we look at how deep you are in the hobby and how deep I am in the hobby, and you're following up with every drop and every card price increase and every eBay sale, and oh, this gold star sold for this first edition Zard sold for this. Wait, what cert number was that? Can I figure out who owned that card? Oh shit, I'm standing next to the person that sold that card. Or you look at all these different sales, or it's like, oh, this low pop Watsy holo sold. Wait, whose collection did this come from? And then you ask around and you're like, hey, do you know this cert number? And then people look at it and they're like, I don't know that cert number. Or somebody's like, yeah, we're so deep to worry about that stuff. That's not the average collector. The average collector comes in and they buy one SKU of each product line for a set. So in the future, we got terrestrial festivals, I said terrestrial festivals, Phantasmal Flames. Oh my god. Phantasmal Flames is coming out. It's a Charizard set. And you know what? The average person is going to buy a check lane blister, maybe a 3-pack blister, and maybe they want an ETB, and maybe they buy a booster box. But more likely than not, even booster boxes, people forget, is a huge barrier of entry to the average person in the hobby. A booster box might as well be something extremely foreign to them because they have no easy path to get that, because most people go into their Walmarts or Targets or Best Buys or Party Cities or GameStop or wherever they get their product, and they're buying check lane blisters and single pack blisters. But like, that's the thing. That's just one person. They're not checking which cert number of which gold star sold, or which, Zard first edition sold, or which low pop cards. They don't care about stuff like that. They care about one product, so one SKU. But now, that person, I don't think leaves after 6 months. I think they stick around. And now it's like, well, one person, does that have an effect on total distribution? No. Well, now, what if you had 10 people a day join? Well, now that's 10 different SKUs are gone. But every day. And then, well, what if Pokemon's a lot bigger than that? Well, what if it's 100? What if it's 1,000? So wait, you're telling me 1,000 people per week could be coming in, and each one of those 1,000 people want to buy one SKU, and then out of those 1,000 people, how many of those people now want a booster box? And now it's 1,000 people a week. That's 52,000 people a year, and out of those 52,000 people, well, how many people want one booster box? Is it 1% of those? Well, or is it 10%? Because if it's 10%, that number becomes really big. Because when you go and you look at the people with the biggest distribution accounts, and before P Football Pete, when he was actually still selling booster boxes on eBay, and you would look at the total number sold, his total number sold of booster boxes would be like 3,500 booster boxes, 4,000 booster boxes. And to the average person would look at that and they'd say, 4,000 booster boxes. That's a lot. That is one of the biggest accounts with one of the biggest allocations, getting 4,000 booster boxes of a set at release. But I just told you, there's now 4,000 people each want one. So what used to be a big allocation just isn't big anymore, because the people, they're just not leaving after 6 months, but they're just not out there like in full force. They're not in your face where they're buying pallets of shit, or trying to buy cases of booster boxes, or trying to buy multiple cases of ETBs, and they're trying to get 100 of each promo. So that means they need 10 cases of ETBs to get 100 promos, because you got 10 boxes per case. They're not that person, so they're not really in your face, but they're out there, and they're just buying one SKU here and there. And it's just the law of large numbers. When you have large numbers and that constant demand of those onesie twosies, even though, allocations look big, they're just not big in the grand scheme of stuff. And then you have all these sell-in platforms, and then it allows all this shit to happen. And that's where I push back on Rudy, where he says the average person is gone after 6 months. I don't think they're gone. I just don't think they're in your face. I think they're still out there. And you know what? For a lot of people, and this is a problem that a lot of people can't even understand, like, they might just take a set off once in a while. They might walk away from the hobby for 2-3 months. Us, we're in the day-to-day. We're like, all right, I have to clear my schedule. at this time, I have to make sure. I think PokemonCenter.com is going to drop at this time. I have my notification set on the Rattle Discord. Hopefully Tap comes through. Hopefully Tap pings a group. God, I hope Tap is not in an office meeting or something and Tap can't pin that message group, because then I won't be notified through my phone because I can't have notifications on. So I'll have to constantly be checking the Pokemon Center, new drops and is the queue up. People aren't doing that. Like, for you, you're doing that. You're in it. And you're like, wait, which Latios box is going to be dropping at Target? Wait, there's what prismatic special collection box going to be dropped at Sam's Club? Oh, I need a Sam's Club membership. Sam's Club membership is $40. I'll add this. Well, the Costco is going to do this bundle. You're doing that. You're worried about that. The average and so for you to be like, somebody could just walk away for a set and be like, yeah, I just walked away. Just not. Yeah, wait, what was the last set? Oh, Deseravel's, never heard of it. But you would still buy Pokemon? Yeah, if I see Pokemon cards on the shelves, I'd still buy it. Like, that person is so foreign to all you guys. Like, your brains can't even comprehend that people could take a set off. But I think it's just a lot of people like that take sets off. But like I said, when it's just so many of those people buying one SKU of each product, you don't understand the law of large numbers. Large numbers just evaporates all the product that is available. And you want to know what happens? It not just evaporates all the product that people get from distribution, all that shit is open. So all the sealed product starts to just be evaporated too, because people are just onesie-twosie. Like, but now this is the thing. It's like, if I open up a single pack, I have a single pack of Paldea Evolved. Is me opening this one pack, do I think this one pack has an effect on the market? No, it doesn't. But now, law of large numbers, it's like, well, what if there was 10,000 of me? Well, maybe even that doesn't make a difference. Well, what about 100,000? Well, now we all want to open up 2 packs. And it's like, well, now 100,000 people each open in 2 packs. That's 200,000 packs. Now, do I think that has effect on the market? 2,000 packs? Yes, I do. Are there millions of packs being printed of each set a year? Yes. Do I think 200,000 is a decent amount? Yeah, that's probably like a concerted print effort from Pokemon for a set. And like, it's just the law of large numbers right now. And the thing too, and then this is the things I've repeated myself in the past, is that Pokemon just has this ability where people are willing to buy into Pokemon too, because it has this very, very magical thing behind it, which a lot of other card games just don't have and may never have. And that's just consumer confidence, an unwavering, unshaking consumer confidence. The consumer confidence in Pokemon right now, if this scale was 1 through 10, it's an 11 right now. Like, the consumer confidence in Pokemon, in everything they're buying, is so high. And it's going to take a lot to break that consumer confidence. And the problem is, what is it going to take? I don't personally know. People talk about the crash of being like product on shelves. Like, we are so far removed from stuff that all we want is just a product on shelves. Like, product on shelves is not a crash, Like, that's the thing. It's going to take a lot. All right. Where was I? Kevin Clay. Hold on. I think before I get there, that was Timmy. Timmy, that was your life advice. I went on a tangent for about 10 minutes giving you some life advice. Pokebondo said, Timmy, invest in McDonald's, invest in Burger Chews. Pokebondo said, buy high, sell low. No. See, Pokebondo, you messed up right there. The secret is you buy high. You panic sell low, and then once you sell low, as the product starts to tick back up, then you panic buy back in, so you now set a higher price point than where you sold at. So then you're really, really screwed yourself. So you want to buy high, sell low, and then panic buy back in when things start to go high. That is the true secret to success there. Katie Lowen, Cardboard Gorman, good to see you. Katie Lowen said, let's go. Here's to PK going twice as unhinged as the last live. Maybe I can't get that unhinged. So Pokebondo says, it's even more crazy when you're not actively paying attention and then you see a last soul pop up. I've had a lot of damn. They go for that much right now. I've had a lot of those damn moments. Son of Mewtwo said, "What up, PK? Son of Mewtwo once again, buddy. I do appreciate it. Gifting the memberships. I appreciate you. Son of Mewtwo is one of the original members of this channel. Been a member for 18 months. Pokenufo says, remember, folks, there are people out there selling Pokemans that pay off their credit cards every day. It's a good time to buy. Be a good time until it's not." So Cryptomon said, he said, Black Bolt Mini Tin. He got the restock at Walmart. 9 a tin. Pokebondo said, damn, that's real as fuck. I haven't even considered that I'll die with a lot of the stuff I own. Better teach my daughter how they flip. Listen, this is not new. I repeat myself a lot. The best thing you can do for your kid right now, if you have a kid, is go create an eBay account right now for your kid. People are going to say, PK, what about taxes? It's not about taxes. It's about just creating an eBay account and then just use it for some of your purchases. And so when your kid in 18 years from now, if you got a newborn right now, he's sitting in the crib, go create him an account, because you want to know what happens? In 18 years, your kid is going to have an 18-year-old eBay account with 150, 200 feedback score spread out through 18 years. It's pretty easy to get a 200 feedback score. And you know what? You're going to set your kid up for success, because they're going to have an absolutely amazing eBay account, and they're going to be able to sell anything they want, because anybody that goes and clicks on that account, if they're getting a little nervous or like, I don't know, this might be a scam, or should I buy from this person? The second they click on, they go, oh shit, this account was created in 2025. That was 18 years ago. They're going to be like, okay, oh, they got 200 feedback score, 100% positive feedback, and an 18-year-old account. Yes, I will feel comfortable buying from this account. Like, everybody should be doing that. Like, why you're not doing that right now for your kid. Why you haven't paused this video. Go. It takes 30 seconds. maybe it takes 2 minutes to create an eBay account. Like, do it. Do it. Why not? So, yes. To answer you, Pokebondo, you should be teaching your daughter how to sell. So Silence says, I'm holding off for targeted incoming buys at Black Friday. If Black Friday is any of the Black Fridays we've seen in the past, it's going to be scalper heaven, man. It's going to be really tough. I mean, moving into November this year, especially moving into the winter months, moving into Christmas, it's gonna be tough going. Cryptic says, greed is at an all-time high. Usually a good time to sell. It's always a good time to be selling, always a good time to be buying. That's why I said no one has ever gone broke taking profits in this hobby. So Cardboard says, I'm here saying this now. Gen 10 will have regional Reggie forms. Mark my words. So Reggie Ice, Reggie Gigas, and Reggie Rock, or regional forms. I could see that. Chill Phil says, Kevin Clare says, wait until waifu pops off again. Kevin Clare's got a lot in the waifu bucket. Chill Phil says, the opening up of booster box is worth more than the chase cards to some people. That's also too. Like, there is a fun aspect to this too, you know. Crypto says he sees Surgeon at 500 box coming pretty soon. I could see it. That's a crazy thing. Pokey Poo says, hello PK, greetings from Belgium. Belgium, huh? You guys got great waffles. Good to see you, Pokey Pew. Chill Phil says, it's like the coach from Waterboy right now. Yeah, Farmer Fred, that is the coach. I'm like, all right, go to take some laps. I'm the special teams coach. All I do is make people take laps right now. Let's see. Chill Phil says, remember when PK was on a couch and there was still a baby on the way? That kid is 4 years old. Listen, you guys been following this channel for a while. Do you guys remember what I did for my first son? So if you guys been following this channel, you kind of remember the timeline where my firstborn was born. And I said I was going to buy him one booster box of every single modern set. Do you want to know the first booster box that came out for my son? Well, I'll give you a hint. The first booster box was released August 27th, 2001. So yes, my son's first ever booster box I bought him was Evolving Skies. So that's a pretty good first ever booster box to start off his collection. And you know what? I felt bad for my second son So I also went back and got him one of every booster box going back. So both my kids have one of every booster box from Evolving Skies to present. So they're doing pretty good. And that's how it's evaporated my life savings. It's like, could have put that same, I think those boxes I probably paid $120 for. I could have put that same $120 for that Evolving Skies booster box into a $529, and it would have been worth whatever it would have been worth after 4 years. Or I put that $120 into an Evolving Skies booster box, and it outperformed that $529 pretty well. Oh, somebody, did you guys hear that? At some point, I just heard Dan Catch 'em All Collectibles just went, oh, I just heard it. Oh, that was a good sound. Sorry, Dan. I just heard Dan he just wenched a little bit in pain. Oh, sorry, Dan. Sorry. We got Gem Mint Pokemon right there. Speaking of Gem Mint, good to see you, buddy. If there's anybody who's deep down the rabbit hole, it's Mr. Gem Mint. Fresh Tat says Old Pepper's Farm remembers. Let's see. Chev says, I remember because I was also buying Sleepy Pikas at $5 also. Jill Phil says, big finance people already acknowledge the Pokemon market. Do they, though? I mean, they do, but there's a lot of dumb. I mean, Dan just showcased all the people that, how many articles were talking about the $4 million Illustrator Pikachu sale, which was not a paid for sale, which I don't understand why eBay does that. But, I mean, Dan made that whole video saying like all these news articles, Wall Street Times, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, all these articles are writing talking about this $4 million Pokemon sale. What wasn't a confirmed paid sale, which is a fake sale. So, Chill Phil says, remember when Pokemon Center limit was 6? I do, Chill Phil. And do you remember when Silver Tempest order limit was 4? And everybody said, nah, I'll pass on Silver Tempest because I can't get a sealed case. Do you remember that, Chill Phil? There was a lot of people said, I'll pass on Silver Tempest. Can't get a sealed case. Order limit of 4 from Pokemon Center. See, there's some people out there watching this video for the first time that says, what is PK talking about? Order limit of 4 for Silver Tempest booster boxes, passing on them, no sealed case premium. Like, there's people out there don't even understand that, but like, that is real. There was people passed on Silver Tempest because they couldn't get a sealed case. Like, the hobby, and that wasn't that long ago. Silver Tempest is Sword and Shield 12. Like, there was 12 sets of Sword and Shield. Sword and Shield 12 means it was the last Sword and Shield set. Like, we're not that far away. But, like, that's just the world we live in. And it was the last booster box to sell out of Pokemon Center. And, like, that's the thing, too. And we run into this issue where we're constantly rewarded, too, where booster boxes will sell out of Pokemon Center, and it's like, oh, once this happens, they're going to go up. And it's like the same thing that happened with the battle styles and the Lost Origin. It goes to how Pokemon cards evaporated my life savings as I was buying those. And it was like, it can't be this easy, right? Like, that's what we kept saying. Son of a Merc says, as someone who tries to get the hobby to work for itself, it's hard to let go of older stuff to buy new stuff, especially by the time I circle back, it will triple in price. That's a good problem to have, Son of a Merc. I can't help you there. Not as a personal issue, but it's a good personal issue to have. Pokebando says, I heard in live specs from Retro Specs last night that there is now Saudi money coming in and buying Pokemon. I think there's probably already a little money. I mean, there was already obviously a big collector out of Dubai, old Dubsy, but I think that's, I don't know. I don't know enough about that to comment on it. Cryptomon says, you need to have a Pokemon treasure of access you never sell or just accumulate more because Mike Sailor of Pokemon, I don't know what all that means. Let's see. MJ Silver and Gold says, I need some advice, PK. I'm going to be spending $15K on packs this weekend, and I don't know if I should buy half of 151 at $11 or under, or prismatic for the $7, or should I split it? MJ, you're not going to like this answer, but split it. It's the same answer I gave with, so I guess the question is, MJ, what do you think is more likely? You think 151 to gap up to 22 or for Prismatic to gap up to 14. Personally, I think it's more likely for 151 to gap up to 22 before Prismatic gaps up to 14. But the problem is I like Prismatic at 7. Like, it just looks really good. I mean, 7 is very, very low. And now this is where I'm also looking at MJ. It depends on your time horizon. I think in fast forward 5-6 years, I think those are both $50 packs. I know it's crazy to say, but I also watch as Generations went from a $2 pack to where Generations is today. So fuck it, anything's possible. As Mythical Collections came out for 12 months in a row, and sure, the Mew helped, but some of the other Mythical Collection boxes really didn't help. But I ask the question is, it depends on your time horizon. If you're okay with money being stagnant, I think you're going to do fine either way. If it is a question of you can't deal with stagnation, because at $7, Prismatic might be stagnant or at least very slow for that. I think the gap from 7 to 14 will potentially take longer than the gap for 151 to gap from 11 to 22. That is where I'm personally lying. But if you're like, no, I'm spending 15 G's on packs and my timeline is 5-10 years, then it doesn't matter. I feel like either one of those you could be fine with. I do like 151 at 11. And then it's a deep question, because it's like, now you could ask me a separate question. PK, do I think this is the last opportunity to ever pick up 151 at $11? And I would say yes. I think right now, today, whatever 151 is selling at is the cheapest 151 will ever be from now into foreverness. Of course, I could always be wrong. Pokemon loves to reprint 151. But if you ask me right now today, I'd say whatever today's price of 151 is, whatever the cheapest you can find, is the lowest possible price you will find. If you ask me the same question about Prismatic, I can't give you that with the same sort of certainty. When you say Prismatic at 7 today, is this the cheapest point today? In September of 2025, is this the cheapest Prismatic ever is? I do not have that answer to you. And I would say, where I don't think there's any chance of 151 having that, I think that there's a high percentage that Prismatic could potentially go lower, because we are still getting more Prismatic actively into the market. Like, there's constantly drops, but we have even seen like those premium collection boxes, like the EV full art, or sorry, I said EV full art, Umbreon full art and the Espeon full art, those premium collection boxes, those are going to dump a lot of packs onto the market. So if it was like a more short term, 151. If it's long term, 5-10 year timeline, either one. I think you could do fine in both. MJ, if I'm taking 15K, personally, because when I give the answer where I'm like, go, the answer you won't like, which is half and half, that is I'm giving that answer from where I think you do good, and it's more of a safer bet. If you're asking what would I do, because what would I do is a different question for giving advice to somebody else. I would be buying 15K of 151 today. That's what I would be doing, but that wouldn't be the advice I would give to somebody. That is a good question. I like it. Let's see. Pokemon said $10. It could buy you a McDonald's meal, or it could buy you the next card that 10x is. MJ says, I'm trying to use it as a down payment. Oh, here's the answer. I'm trying to use it for a down payment on a house, like next year when I sell them. MJ, because 151. I'd say go all in. 151 if you're asking for my advice. Nothing I give is financial advice. It's just what would I do? I would say 151. I think in a 1 year timeline, I think you do better for 151 than you would Prismatic. But I could be wrong. You could be leaving out, a decent amount. But yeah, I would say 151 in a year timeline. Let's see. So Silence is Good said, every bull market is followed by a bear market. It feels wrong to invest now, but if you don't have time to flip, sometimes it's better to wait and buy the dip. Maybe. I'm not. Probably, that could be good advice, Silence. That would have been terrible advice if you wrote that comment 2 months ago. But when you write it today, it's good advice. And if all right, here's the thing. Silence is good. If you wrote that comment 2 months ago in a live stream 2 months ago, it would have been great advice. But if we went back and read that comment today, oh God, that would have been absolutely terrible advice. So right now, today, writing that comment, I think it's good advice. We'll see how 2 months goes. So to say sometimes it's better to wait and buy the dip, if 2 months from now, if the market goes down, we're going to be like, hey, Silence, you remember when you wrote that comment that it's good to wait for the dip? Dude, fucking spot on. Congrats, man. If we see the same type of market in the next 2 months as we saw in the last 2 months, I'm going to say, damn, Silence. That was a shitty comment, man. And you'd probably be like, yeah, I messed up on that one. PK. So, it all depends. But, like, that comment, I think it's always correct in the moment. But that's the problem. Like, fucking Captain Hindsight, dude, he bats for 1,000. So it's always easy for people to go back and say, oh, well, you should have did it. But in the moment, I would say that is always the right comment. Because I feel like that's the least risk. So that's just not what I'm doing. But I definitely see where you're coming from with that comment. So Silence says, I also bought so hard, PK, when the market was down that I'm outpacing all the flippers, even with the current prices. So I'm buying good prices and waiting for the bear to redo. Yeah. By the way, my 2 cents, PK. I don't do any crypto stuff. Let's see. I'm all Pokemon right now. I don't know enough to talk about the crypto market. I got a little bit of Bitcoin. That I shouldn't be holding Bitcoin. I would have did better in Pokemon in the last couple months. Pokebano says panic purchases are the key to success. Yes. Oh yeah. Let's see. Pokebano said Blooming Waters just restocked on Target. Was it a big restock? I didn't see how many W's people got. Cardman says I remember when PK did not show his face. Yes. Silence says, do you see a pattern now on the print run specialty set ETBs at Costco only in weight? I've tried to look at patterns, nothing that I could really like pinpoint because I just go, so all right, so we'll read your comment. It says, do you see a pattern now in print run specialty set ETBs at Costco's only in ways and goodbye is 151 meaning prismatic leaving its last drop knowing the prismatic Pokemon Center ETB listing is gone from Pokemon Center? No, I don't think. Pokemon Center ETBs, I think, are not a correlation, it's not a correlation of how ETBs are printed by Pokemon. I think that has nothing to do with it. It's it all just comes down to how much of shit Pokemon wants to print. Going back, I mean, we'll just go back. Hidden Fates. We'll go back. We go back before Hidden Fates. We go Shadow Legends. Shadow Legends. We could even go. Fuck, you want we could do all the specialty sets. We could talk about Dragon Vault. We could talk about Double Crisis. We could talk about Shadow Legends. We could talk about Generations. We could talk about, Generations, Shadow Legends. We could talk about fucking Detective Pikachu, little specialty sets. We could talk about Hidden Fates. We could talk about Champion's Path. We could talk about Shadow Fates. We could talk about Celebrations. We could talk about what the fuck came after Pokemon Go, and then whatever, I don't even know modern shit, whatever modern sets are out, but every single one of those specialty sets has a little bit of a different story to each one of them, so it all just, there's just too many variables. And then it's even like super modern specialty sets that nobody ever mentions, like Shroud of Fable. Like, is any more Shroud of Fable gonna get printed? No. In my opinion, is Shroud of Fable one of the least printed specialty sets besides like Dragon Majesty? Yes. Like in comparison to where we are in the hobby. Like Dragon Majesty didn't get a lot. Fucking the equivalent. Now equivalent is huge print numbers. Like a massive amount more, but in relative to the amount of people in the hobby, it feels similar in that sense. Does that make I probably lost a lot of people there because they're going to be like, this motherfucker just said Shroud of Fable was printed as equally as Dragon Majesty, and that's not what I'm saying, but it just feels the same. Does that make sense? Like there's like it's done. Like Shroud of Fable is done in my opinion, because if that's what Pokemon's printing, God help us all, So it's too many variables, but I haven't found a good correlation. Twin Turbo says his kids love to hand out the trick-or-trades for Halloween. Is Pokemon dropping a 2025 set? They are. And they're supposed to have like an exclusive artworks or something. I don't know. Son of Mewtwo, drop in the more channel memberships. Son of Mewtwo, I appreciate ya. All right. All right, chat. Well, with that said, I'm going to go watch Wednesday with my wife. We've watched we watched the first 4 episodes. They split it up. It was like an 8-episode miniseries. They split up the first 4 and then released the second 4. We've made it through the first 3 of the second 4. So we got 1 episode left, and then I'll finish Wednesday season 2. So that's what I'm doing with my wife right now. I'm going to go watch a movie with her, or watch that show. I promised her that I wouldn't have a long live. If you guys do want to ask me any questions, if you guys ever want to come hang out, listen, I am live behind this camera right here, blasting farts into this chair in old grandma's basement. I am live 11 times a week in front of this camera, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fanatics. You'll see the click for the referral link, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturday nights starting at 8:30 p.m. So you guys could always find me if you guys ever want to chat on old Fanatics Live. With that said, as always, I do appreciate each and every one of you guys. As always, be safe, be happy, be well. I'll catch you on the next stream. Later.